Okay, here we are. So
Okay.
we are just having a conversation this morning and decided that we would share it with you guys. So what were you about to say, Roosevelt? Oh, this is Alicia Pitt and my husband Roosevelt Pitt. Go ahead, baby.
Okay. We decided to just call these conversations "Come with Me," meaning whatever we discuss, how it flows, and then when we stop, we'll save it, and then revisit it later.
Okay, well, what were you saying before we decided to
Okay.
record? You were
Well,
talking about feeling safe within the relationship. We were talking about mistakes and regrets versus just straight spirituality where everything goes. And
well, I have to go back in my thoughts and bring it back up forward. That's how my mind works, processing. Uh, you had said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you had evolved in your thinking, where in the beginning, errors or mistakes that were made, uh, you didn't really, quote, regret them. Um, and you looked at them as a spiritual journey. However, now, as time moved on, um, I feel that's prompted by my need to understand your position on your past mistakes. And you had said that, okay, well, I do acknowledge regret for them, because it's like a baby walking who may walk too fast, falls, makes a mistake, gets hurt, and so forth. And you said that, hey, I regret those things, but I also look at it as a spiritual or life lesson as well. Is
well,
that
you
correct?
challenged me. I held tight to the fact that, which I still coming out of a really very difficult 5 or 6 years. But I held tight to the fact that I had no regrets, that everything in the world was perfect, that everything was a spiritual lesson. And now I remember coming one day to a point where I could feel myself saying it, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm going to say I regret it. I actually do have regret." Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a turning point where I felt a little bit safer.
Well, I
Um,
felt shocked because I didn't think I was ever going to feel regret. And then I realized, oh wow, I do regret things. But yes, I was saying that I feel like that I can make mistakes, I can regret those mistakes, and I can feel like are there are guiding forces, there are parents out there in this world that are ancestors or whatever that force is that is guiding me. Maybe it's just our energy as a whole. I have no idea. But that they pick me up, put a band-aid on my head after the mistake, and I move on. And they help me to evolve if I'm willing to do that. So
okay.
all both things can be true. There can be a spiritual journey that's setting me on the straight path if I'm willing to learn, listen, and do that. And I could regret mistakes made along the way.
Well, what helped me, what I needed at that particular moment in time, and reason I challenge you, is for my safety in the relationship and yours too. For example, when um, looking at, I'm using a child, as a example, since that's kind of what you brought to the conversation, to
So
continue
that's the
that
example of who
train of thought.
in
I'm sorry.
that's the example of who we are in this universe at this point. What we're saying is that we are the children that are learning or the baby that's learning. Is that what you're comparing it to?
Well, no, I'm comparing it to my real life experiences having children. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And I think it's germane.
Okay.
Okay. So if my little baby, I heard a ding. Does that
I,
mean that it's ended?
no, it's still going.
Okay.
We're
I
gonna
don't know what that ding was.
we're
Okay.
gonna have a real
All right.
long learning curve with this. But go ahead.
Okay. All right. So um I remember one of my children, when they were small, using the analogy that you gave about bumps and bruises, right? Okay. My oldest child, actually, she was very, as most children, curious and want to explore. So, and she always explorer thing that was at her level when she started crawling, right? Because she can't see everything above her. She only can see what's at her eye level. So what was at her eye level? The electric socket. So she had gotten a fork and was poking at it. Okay. Now that's very innocent in a sense, but when I saw it, I saw danger. Okay, she could shock herself, but before I could get to her, she had already poked it, and pop, and it shocked her. Right? Okay, you can imagine how what happened. She started to cry. The socket had a burnt little chart on it, and I went to her. Of course, I grabbed her and I said, even though I probably knew that she really couldn't understand what was going on or what was happening, but I still spoke to her, and in a calm but also firm manner. Don't do that. That can hurt you, right? Okay. So then I saw her cry and look at me, and I can tell that she regretted it at that moment,
Right.
right? Okay. And now, but she also learned from that experience and never did it again. Okay. So bringing it back to our relationship, um, I needed to know that you regretted those past mistakes so that it wouldn't happen again. That way, I'm safe. If I bring it back to my daughter, I needed to understand, or hopefully she understood that that was a mistake and she regretted it so it wouldn't happen again, so that not only is she safe from repeating that error, but also I'm also safe in my relationship with her to know that she won't be harmed and I don't have to worry.
Well,
Does that make sense?
it does. But what's funny about the example you're bringing in is that I did something very similar. I took the end of a silver spoon when I was little, and I wasn't even that little. I was probably 11 years old, and everybody kept talking about that you shouldn't be doing that. And I knew you shouldn't put something like that in a light socket, but I'm like, I just want to know what that feels like. So I did it. And I still to this day don't regret it. I'm glad I know.
Okay, see, and that I remember you telling me that story, and that is what sometimes in our relationship scares me.
But
It's still a fear
I know I'll never
because
do it again because it.
well, see, you know that. I'm sorry, let me interrupt. You know you won't do it again. But internally, based on my relationships with my parents, I'm going to take a little bit further, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without that regret, or even with it, my mother specifically continued to do that behavior, to have that behavior. You follow me?
Well, I do follow you, and I did have some regrets that I repeated because I thought, well, I regret it, but maybe I should regret regretting it. Maybe it wasn't wrong. Maybe I did something wrong. So yeah, I get that. But I mean, I know I will never intentionally electrocute myself again.
Well, and I would like to think that's true. But when it comes to other
Yes,
things
I understand.
that have not had that such extreme effect on you or me, right?
That I'm still questioning. Do I really regret it, or could
There. And see, I'm not certain,
yeah.
right? And that, wow, you know what? This is good. This is good because I don't know how long this recording is going to take. I don't know if it's going to be too heavy for us to even share because I'm thinking about that right now. My logic mind says if this goes on for 2 hours,
Well, no, I'm
or
thinking that we should probably turn it off in maybe 5 minutes.